Donald Trump cannot ignore a criticism. If you reveal something about him, something that paints him in a negative light, he has to respond like it's part of his contract or something. So we're turning now to the allegations that have been made against him about forcing his way into Home Alone 2, and he is not gonna let this stand. He truthed 30 years ago, how time flies, director Chris Columbus and others were begging me to make a cameo appearance in Home Alone 2. They rented the Plaza Hotel, which I owned at the time. I was very busy and didn't want to do it. We're gonna pause this for a second. Okay, so in this fantasy world that he has concocted, Chris Columbus is desperate to get Donald Trump in his movie. Okay, he was a famous person at the time. Maybe that's true. But Donald Trump didn't want to be in a movie. The sequel to Home Alone, which was a wild success. Donald Trump, the ultimate guy who pushes himself in every venue. Self-promoter extraordinaire, doesn't want to be in it. Okay, well anyway, he goes on to say, they were very nice, but above all, persistent. I agreed and the rest is history. That little cameo took off like a rocket and the movie was a big success and still is, especially around Christmas time. Gee, I wonder why, it's a Christmas movie. But anyway, then he points out that Chris Columbus has pointed out that he bullied his way into being in the movie. Effectively, Chris Columbus has said that you have to pay a fee like you do to film in the Plaza Hotel, like in most areas of New York. But there specifically, Trump said that to be able to shoot there, quote, the only way you can use it is if I'm in the movie. Which of those stories seems more believable, honestly? That the guy who owns the building and is a massive self-promoter, so much so that he used to call into radio shows as a fake promoter of himself, but it was actually him. Or that Chris Columbus desperately wanted Donald Trump in the movie and Trump didn't want to do it, but for some reason did anyway. It's so stupid. And I understand that there's no reason for us to be talking about this, but he was the president of the United States and he tells such bald-faced lies to then imply that the cameo made the movie a success. Now I understand that of all of the things that should get a Trump fan to finally realize that this guy is a massive liar, it should be something more substantive than this. But the idea that the cameo is what made the movie a success is so insulting to everyone who reads it. Aida, what do you make of this, if anything?
I mean, why are we surprised? That's what Donald Trump does, right? The man who is in the middle of trying to assemble a campaign for presidency, who is also in a trial, a criminal trial for some of the most egregious acts that he's been caught for, has the time to dedicate to try to talk about how he came to be a cast member of Home Alone is just so Donald Trump. The truth of it is, I didn't even remember Donald Trump was in that movie until somebody brought it up. Joe Pesci was undeniably the funniest person in that movie, along with Macaulay Culkin, who was a baby at the time, who carried an entire film. And the fact that he can say that he is what made the movie a success, it just feeds, the delusion that he lives in. I mean, we said narcissist, but megalomaniac, and we say it lightly, we say it as an insult, but the truth is it's a diagnosis that should be made by by a professional, because to live in that type of, when you really think that much of yourself, and you've seen it, you saw it in New Jack City, you saw Denzel Washington in Training Day, you've seen Kevin Spacey do it, and on the TV shows, you've seen Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. We look at those people and we're like, oh my goodness, this is so powerful and impactful. But that's just the state of mind of an actual human being, not a character walking around thinking that they are the salt of the earth and that they make it move around. You know how deep that is to sit there and say that about that movie? When most people who watch that movie and still talk about it, those of us who saw it when it came out, were like, wow, this little kid is amazing. Little kid is amazing. And he's like, I made the movie a success. He made the American government a success. He made Melania a success. He made his kids, everything is him. I don't know why anybody else thinks they exist in Donald Trump's world. Clearly.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Also, Daniel Stern, I think, deserves some credit as
Oh,
well.
of course. My bad. Of course.
But yeah, it's so utterly ridiculous. And if you're like, I know that if you're a Trump fan, you do not care. You are immune to the obviousness of the lies that he tells you. But this is like, I would hope that maybe a petty thing could slip through and give you an idea that maybe this guy isn't trustworthy. But it's not even just Chris. First of all, if Chris Columbus was gonna lie about this, then why did he also add in that supposedly when they tested the movie and people saw the cameo, they cheered? Because he was a famous person and people didn't know that he was utterly reprehensible at that point. Why would he say that? Why would he give him the credit for the cheer if he's just gonna smear him? And also Matt Damon has confirmed that they were forced to waste time filming Trump again in the same sort of situation. It just like, can nothing get through? I don't understand it. Anyway, the movie was a success because Macaulay Culkin is a delight. I think underrated performance in number 2. Anyway, I'm joking. I came off of seeing number 1 for the holidays, and it really does hold up very well, by the way. The cameo, you could take it or leave it. The idea that made the movie is so utterly ridiculous. And it's also weird, by the way. We played it as B-roll. He like answers the question and then Kevin goes and walks away and Donald Trump like stares after him. It doesn't even make any sense, but whatever. Yeah. We're moving on with our life. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.